Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs post-game show podcast. We hope you stayed up late because, dare I say, this one was worth it. A little bit of everything. A major pitching matchup going into this. That was the billing before the game. Then you had the Cubs down 2 runs after 7. The other team has 3 home runs, and somehow they win it. In dramatic fashion. I mean, dramatic fashion. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo with you early in the morning as we get ready for this one. And Cody,
it's 11:56.
It's going to be early in the morning before this baby's over. And listen, we appreciate everybody that is joining us in the live YouTube chat. The CHGO Sports page is the best way to enjoy this. Do it live with us. I don't know where to start. It could be the pitching matchup. It could be PCA's catch. It could be, I was terrified that Porter Hodge was going to drop to his knees at some point. My heart started racing because I think his heart started racing. And there's still a 1% chance they're going to the playoffs, but this game was amazing. It had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the PCA stuff. I feel like we obviously should get to Porter, but I don't want to speculate on what's going on. So I would like to wait to just see what they say. Like Craig Counsell says post game. I think PCA even though our headline says different, PCA and what he did out in center field was just another day where you're sitting here this guy is one of the best defenders in baseball. I mean, you've known that, he had that kind of potential, and you're sitting here this guy's one of the best defenders in baseball, period. At 22 years old, he's been that good, and it's every day it seems like he's doing something crazy or something, making another play we haven't seen him make, doing something even more impressive. And today, I mean, there was the one catch that was obviously impressive. There was the Ohtani's fly ball that. He just the concentration to stay with it, backhand catch that one. Then obviously the home run robbery to end the game, which he would have robbed a home run earlier in the game, right? I think Edmonds' second home run maybe had.
Yeah, he was close.
He was close. He might have had a chance if the fan didn't catch the ball.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The fan went in the fan's hands first. He might have had a chance. So just awesome defense from him overall today. That's obviously his calling part is his defense in center field, but man, that was really impressive to watch.
Yeah, so all I can say is that PCA's defense ignited the offense because he robbed Kike Hernandez, and then the 8th inning rally started. And that catch to rob Kike Hernandez was, I mean, to me, that was the best catch of the night until the very final play of the game. You know what I mean? I continue to just be so mind blown by this kid every single day since the end of July. I mean, whether it's the offensive profile or, what we've seen all season, the one thing that we have seen all season, the defense, the range, the ability to just run wherever, any ball hit to right center, left center, PCA's there, man. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. It is so fun to watch play defense. So there's not a lot of guys in the league that are fun to watch play defense. The Cubs have 2 of them, Dansby Swanson and Pete Crow-Armstrong. They watching him play defense is special. On top of the fact he had another great offensive night too. So I mean, his name is all over this game, and I've said it a handful of times, man. We've talked all season about how we don't know if this team has a star on it, but man, if he keeps playing like he has since the end of July through the rest of this year, and we see, even more improvement in 2025, you don't just have a star with this kid. You have a superstar caliber player. I mean, he's been playing at a 6 WAR pace since the end of July. And I mean, we always said that if he was a league average hitter, he was a 4 WAR player, which is still a really good player. But he's been hitting at a at elite rates for him for what we're expecting. And is the defense is, I mean, tonight was the highlight reel for him for this season. This game will have a couple moments from this game in it. Like he's just unreal, man. It's so fun. He's only 22 like the Cubs have control of him until 2031, like doesn't hit arbitration until 2027. I think it is. Like, this is why the Cubs need to start winning, because you're not paying this guy anything, man. And this is when you're supposed to take advantage of that. And yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, but him as a player himself, he's one of the more fun players that we've had in a while.
Steven says for $2 on a super chat, when do you put PCA at the top of the lineup? Listen, I don't care where he hits right now. I know, Cody, you've been looking for him to move up a little bit. It is the defense, and you're right, Cody. He could be the superstar, and he'd be a really unique superstar, right? Like, we know Ohtani is the unicorn because he pitches, and next year he'll pitch, and he'll be a home run threat and all of that stuff. But PCA is, no matter what happens, I think going to be defense first, because the defense is so spectacular. It's like anything that's hit to the outfield right now, you have to watch the play, because you have him in center. He covers so much ground, and you have gold glovers on either side of him. Like, he's the only guy in the outfield without a gold glove just because he hasn't had the opportunity yet. Like, right now, their defense in the outfield is fun to watch. They've got Seiya playing the right spot right now. If Bellinger opts in, he's playing in right field. That's the spot for him. They found that spot. They figured that out. And listen, I can't believe Braggs gave up on this kid.
Yeah. I can't believe anyone gave up on him, like, because of 19 plate appearances last year.
I'm gonna call Braggs after the show and be like, I can't believe you gave up on PCA.
Yeah.
Well, so Cody mentioned since the end of July, obviously the defense has been on display all year, but since the end of July, 901 OPS and a 326 batting average, and I believe that's 149 plate appearances. So, like, about a quarter of a season of a sample size. So not a full season long, right? Obviously, but a pretty solid sample size where he's just been hitting the ball really well. And to go, I also look at it as like he went into today as a 2.2 F4 player. Fangraphs wins above replacement 2.2, and this for a guy who spent about 3 months not really hitting very well at the big league level this year. To be at that going into today tells you obviously the defense is incredible, and he's really picked it up in recent weeks. And I mean, whether you look at the stats or not, like, you can see that from him when you watch him play. It's been very impressive to watch him play the last month and a half.
By the way, quietly, while PCA has very loudly put himself on the map here the last month of the season, very quietly, friend of the show, Porter Hodge, has been doing the same thing in that clubhouse. Like an ERA, I think they said 1.7, which will be lower after this game. I don't know what was going on. I honestly, that's what made another reason the catch was so spectacular for me was I was glad the game was over and that they could get him somewhere. Like, I didn't want to see him stay in the game and pitch. I really didn't. Like, you could see that he was trying to stay in the game. I'm shocked that he was able to convince everybody. Like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but it looked like he was out of breath, right? Is that what it was? I'll be interested to see what they say, but it looked like a guy who was out of breath and maybe had a racing heart of some kind. I don't know, but it was terrifying, especially when he dropped to his knee there, and then they were like trying to really talk to him. It was like, man, there have been too many bad things that have happened on baseball field, football field, basketball court, you name it, that to me it was so much bigger than what was going on in the game that I had massive relief more than I had excitement at first when PCA caught the ball, because I was like, amen, this game is over. Like, he doesn't have to throw another pitch, right? Like, for me, it was really scary watching it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Brennan had a really good tweet. Like, I wish a medical doctor could go out there instead of the trainer, which, I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know what the difference is in general. But, like, I was pretty surprised that considering how long the game was delayed, that the umpire, let them, like, figure this out. Maybe it was because there was 2 outs in the 9th inning and a 3-run game, whatever.
Yeah.
But I just, it didn't look right. I was, just because we've had him on the show and we've got to know him a little bit as a person, it was more than just the fact that he was a human being. It was almost like, again, we've talked to him, and I was worried, and yeah, I mean, don't get me started about the Dodgers fans who were booing. You could hear on the broadcast. That was an absolute,
unbelievable.
They just living up to the standard that they are. But beside the point, I mean, yeah, I will be interested to hear how that goes. And thank God PCA caught the ball. And clearly Hodge wasn't okay after that because he almost gave up a homer to Muncy. So we've seen, no matter what, I'm just glad the game was over, like you said, Luke. But also at the same time, it's like, what's the harm in just, you need 1 out, you're up 3, like, just take him out. Like, it's not like he, had a physical injury. He literally had to come down to a knee. It looked like he couldn't breathe, man. Like, I don't know. It's just, I didn't like that they kept him in there. I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. But yeah, it's just whatever. I look forward to hearing what they have to say. I don't want to like put out any more like slander, I guess, on the Cubs for that process, but it was scary for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a guy that, he did go down to a knee at one point. Like I said, I haven't seen anything. I've been kind of looking, seeing if anyone in LA's tweeted out what exactly happened. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I would hope and I would think that Craig Counsell and then the trainers like that were checking on him, like, wouldn't keep him out there if it was a super concerning thing. Like, obviously it was concerning, right? Just us watching TV, watching the game concerning. Like I said, I would think and I would hope that they would not put him at more risk in that situation. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything, so I don't want to, like, again, speculate on exactly what happened. But I guess in a good way, it was good that, like, to see him be able to finish the game. Maybe it was a heart thing, like just heart racing a little more, and was just had to calm down a little bit. Like, whatever it is,
who knows?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll keep looking. I'll keep refreshing Twitter. Hopefully, we get something soon.
Yeah, I mean, I trust that the trainer was able to establish this is what it likely is. He's fine. He's okay. He's telling me he's fine. We can see that he's okay. But you could tell there was some concern on both Counsell's face and the trainer's face, like kind of looking at him like, hey, man, this out isn't the biggest thing in the world. Tell us, are you okay? But he must have shown them somehow that he was okay. It doesn't mean I was okay at home. I was sitting there like, what's going on? I don't want to see something horrible on television, like
the Bills player, for example.
I'm glad it eventually played out the way that it did play out, but it was a little bit scary for a little while. We're going to talk about the pitching matchup in this one in just a second. We're going to talk about all the other great plays in this game. A big night for Seiya Suzuki as well. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at Rhoback Activewear. You all know by now we wear Rhoback all the time. It's quite simple. Best fit, best feel. The quality of gear just speaks for itself. The performance polos perform better in the heat than any other polo. They're moisture wicking, so the polo doesn't stick to you and has such a nice stretch to it as well. Their everyday shorts are also perfect for the combo for a day on the move. Then they look clean and you can use them for comfort because they've got the elastic waistband. And with fall right around the corner, what better item to prepare for the season than adding one of their performance hoodies to your closet? Softest item I own. Performance polos, listen, the collars never lose their shape. They've got solid stripes, fun prints, you name it. And those hoodies I was talking about, moisture wicking as well and breathable fabric. And the shorts, well, they look clean no matter what the occasion is. And again, elastic waistband. You can eat as much frozen custard as you want and still look good in those shorts. Use the code CHGO20 on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with the code CHGO20. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you have. Let me tell you, I need to relax after that game. My heart was racing. I got to have myself a Blue Moon before I go to bed. Some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark. Blue Moon, created at Coors Field in Denver. It's a natural choice all season long. Summertime shy, still 80-degree temps here. Give me a Blue Moon to cool off. Nothing beats watching baseball or lounging the pool like having one with an ice-cold Blue Moon. Blue Moon, brewed by baseball to give you a dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the season. A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon, Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Hey, who provided the power in this one? Let me tell you. I could say it's PCA at the end, but early in the game, Tommy Edmond provided the power for tonight's game presented by the Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. That was the first 2 home runs he's hit all season.
All year.
He's never hit more than 13 in a season. The Dodgers lead the National League in home runs, which is one of the reasons they're a really good team. Third in the majors in home runs. I'll just say you just don't win too many games where you give up 3 home runs. Luckily for Shota Imanaga, they were solo homers, and it kept them in the ball game. Yeah. But this game is an outlier. You don't win too many games where the other team hits 3 home runs.
Yeah, I think that goes to him, him limiting base runners, right? Just not walking guys, not giving up cheap. Like, guys get hits, whatever. Like, not that it's a great thing, but like when guys get hits, right? They beat you. The main thing is to not beat yourself. And that's something we've seen Shota do all year. Just limit walks, not walk a bunch of guys, not give a bunch of guys free passes, not get a lot of traffic on the bases. So, yeah, he had 3 home runs, and those pitches weren't great. I was looking like all 3 were like fastballs right in the heart of the plate. But when you're limiting the base runners, when you're limiting obviously free passes and stuff, those don't necessarily kill you. And so, yeah, like you said, like a lot of times you would lose a game when you gave up 3 home runs. But at the end of the day, he gave up 3 home runs and only gave up 3 runs. So gave his team an opportunity, despite the 3 home runs, to still be in the ball game and make that late rally like they did. Like that's huge, and that's what we've seen from Shota all year. Is just his ability to limit the damage even when they are hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cubs didn't make the comeback and people would have came in here and complained about Shota, I just would have told them that once again, this Cubs offense decided to do what it does after they score 10 runs, and that's just not do anything. But they did make the comeback tonight, and so we can just acknowledge the fact that, yeah, he gave up 3 homers, but they're all solo shots, and he technically threw a quality start. So, I mean, it's what he does. This is literally what he does. We've talked about it before. His one flaw is that he gives up homers, but more often than not, the ones he's giving up are solos. Yeah, I mean, he somehow gave up 3 homers and went 7 innings tonight. And I know PCA helped him out in that.
I was going to say the outfield defense was pretty good,
right? But like that's what this team's built on. That's how they brand the team. And like, as much as it annoys me on how they built the team, at least for the most part, PCA or just, guys like Happ and Bellinger have been what you need them to be defensively in the outfield this year. And again, I could go down a whole rabbit hole and a whole tangent, but I won't. But that's how they built the team, is on, trying to, what's the word I'm trying to think of? not allowing run prevention. Run prevention is the word I'm trying to think of. And, you look at the names on the roster and it's like, oh yeah, that guy's good at defense. That guy has a gold glove, So we could say the same things about other guys in this starting rotation, and it's not to take any credit away from them. It's just like, yeah, the defense has helped all of them out, but you could say that about other teams too. I think we would give way more credit if these guys struck out a lot of dudes all the time. You'll get a 10 strikeout game out of Shota every now and then. It's not every start though. Same thing with Steele. Like they really do rely a lot upon the Cubs defense. So yeah, I mean, I just think Shota again was what he has been all season. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to take credit away or anything. He gave you 7 innings of 3-run ball, man. Like he's awesome. He is, and I love how he tipped his cap to Ohtani at the beginning of the game.
You can't ask for a whole lot more than that. The Cubs are 21-6 when he starts. He's walked 25. He's at 25 walks in 27 starts. It's pretty good. When we talk about a guy that's a fly ball pitcher, that's what you need to be.
I agree. Like before the game, the matchup was everything everybody was talking about, right? And that moment between Ohtani and him was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. And obviously, when we all go to Japan next season, we're going to see a lot of cool moments like that. So when we clip this off and say, hey, boss, we want to go to Japan with the Cubs, all we got to do is show them that moment. And then on the backside of the clip, you put PCA's catch. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
The highlight reel.
I'm awake. I'm here, man.
The highlight reel for this game. We should just send it to Jake and Kevin right now. They're probably sleeping, but we should just take the entire highlight reel and send it to them both.
Hey, Seiya's the guy that had 3 hits.
Yeah.
Right? Seiya had three quietly kind of delivered for the Cubs in this one. 3 hits. I mean, they had plenty of hits. It's just they didn't have any home runs. So again, you're trying to piece those together. What won the game, really? Okay, you could say it's the PCA catch. You could say it was Shota limiting those home runs to solo homers. You could say it was the defense in general all game. But there were a lot of things that had to happen, including 3 errors in 1 inning. The reason the Dodgers lost this game, defense was the difference in this game. Yeah. The Dodgers played terrible defense, and the Cubs didn't. Like, that was so un-Dodger-like. Yeah. The only reason they scored runs, at one point, it was 3-1. And before those errors, I was thinking to myself, are we going to have to talk about the media beef going on in Chicago, or are we going to have to talk about who's eating pets around the country? Like, I didn't know which one we were going to have. I didn't know which rabbit hole we were going to go down and who we were going to get in trouble from. But one of those, I saw myself going down one of those rabbit holes. I didn't know which one it was going to be. And then the Dodgers delivered 3 errors. And I was like, amen. My job is still safe.
Which Chicago Cub is more likely to eat people's pets?
That's right. That's the type of stuff I thought we were going to be talking about. Or I was going to start the show with "Don't call me Stuckmeyer," and then I was going to give you the list of names you're not allowed to call me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when it was you mentioned all that
in the 8th inning.
Yeah. No, it was, and when you're a team that's not the Dodgers, right? Like to beat, baseball's crazy. Things happen every game, but like to beat a team like the Dodgers, who are still considered one of the World Series favorites, like sometimes you just need things to go your way, and you can't rely on that. Like you have to be able to win games with offense or with pitching. Like you can't rely on good fortune, but sometimes in a 162 game season, that's what happens. And the point of that is when that stuff, the good fortune happens, you have to be able to take advantage of it. And the Cubs did that coming back down 3-1. They took advantage when who was that second base today? Is that Muncy today for the Dodgers? When whoever was at second base, Rojas tries tagging whoever was running. It was a Bellinger running a second, and the ball flies out of his glove. Or when they overthrow the third baseman as Dansby sliding in. Like when that stuff happens, you got to be able to take advantage of the mistakes that teams make. And the Cubs did that today. I feel like they've done that a lot on the road lately, at least. That's regardless of where you're at in the standings, regardless of what you're chasing. Like when teams make mistakes, you got to be able to take advantage of it. I feel like in May and June, the Cubs were on the other side of that a lot more. They were the ones making the mistakes, and the other teams were taking advantage. It's what you got to do if you're trying to make up ground in whatever race you're in. You're trying to move up the standings. You have to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they started the inning with a leadoff walk. So we were just talking about Mike or Shota, whatever you want to call him, how he gave up 3 homers, but they were all solo shots. And Ryan, you said it yourself, like he didn't walk anyone, didn't allow a lot of base runners, like leadoff walks late in games. We've seen that on the Cubs side too. Their bullpen is top 5 in walk rates, which is not a good stat to be top 5 in, but yeah, Ian Happ, the leadoff walk, Dansby, the swinging bunt. You put the ball in play, chaos happens, and that's what happened later when, I can't remember who hit the ball. I want to say it was hit that ball to Rojas. Like, I don't know, but either way, yeah. So, they just, like you said, they took advantage of opportunities and got it done, and give them all the credit. Like game felt just like another scripted game that we've talked about all season up until the 8th inning. And we were going to be able to come in here, talk about PCA's great field defense, and, he had another good game, and, Shota was good again, but Cubs lose. I don't know. Make a 6-3, make a comeback, win 6-3. You win a series in Los Angeles. It's fun. It's fun. And if for the hopers and believers, as Luke calls them, 4 games back in the wild card going in tomorrow. I don't
With
care.
No tiebreakers and 7
I don't care. I'm not back in. I'm just putting it out there.
What are the percentage? What's the playoff odds right now?
But
it's probably still at 1.7.
Hey, it's better than it was 2 days ago.
Did Talkman's catch made the Cubs believe last year? Will it be PCA's catch this time? I'll hang up and listen.
2.4%. 2.4% playoff odds.
It's up to 2.4?
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting you, Cody. I'm reeling you in. I'm reeling Cody in. He's thinking about it. He's going to go to bed tonight. He's going to close his eyes, and then he's going to pop up like 10 minutes later and think, 2.7. That's not. Wait, that's almost 3%.
Oh, you can almost round up to 3%.
By the way, yes, I don't know who said that, but yes, you can call me Steve. You can still call me Steve. That's okay.
Cool.
Just don't, substitute the S for another letter, and we're good. Or take the T out. That's okay. Really, I don't care about that either. But yes. We'll talk more about some of the other crazy stuff going on in the Cubs organization in just a bit. Just a wild game that we had tonight to talk about. I thought we were going to have nothing to talk about. We have plenty to talk about. But first, I know Cody wants to tell us about some of our great sponsors that make this show possible.
Oh, man. Sunnyside. What would we do without Sunnyside? I know I couldn't survive this Cubs season without Sunnyside. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff, or select from quality lines like Cresco or Florcal. All right. We've talked about it all summer. The summer is kind of over, but it's not here in the Midwest. You can get you can get a good day to go out on the golf course. For that Good News Tea Time disposable vape, which brings a classic lemonade flavor that's perfect for the golf course, like I said, because we all need a little help staying loose on the green. All right. So I know he loves to pick up his favorite Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates at Sunnyside. You too those award-winning chocolates by visiting sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases by entering code HICHGO.
I think
HICHGO checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day. Only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders.
that's why you're the host of this show, because I was not ready to hop in on that one.
That's why
I'm
you
ready.
call me Steve.
Yeah, what I am ready to do is tell you guys about Game Time. There's 10 more Cubs home games, I think, coming up this season. So only a few more chances to go watch the Cubbies at the friendly confines. And you need to use Game Time if you're going to get your tickets. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm looking at next Monday's Cubs A's game. Maybe it's not the hottest game on the schedule, but I'm looking Monday night game at Wrigley Field. Tickets as low as $14, Stucky. As low as $14 on Game Time.
What if they sweep the Dodgers and Rockies?
Hey, then a lot could be riding on that
A
one.
lot of people reeled back in.
Oh, Cody will be reeled back in if they can do that.
He just left to go buy tickets right now.
There you go. One of my favorite things with Game Time is outside of Game Time Picks. Like I said, it filters out the fluff. So I'm looking at it. Joey has it pulled up on the screen, but there's a bunch of tickets all throughout the ballpark that are just feels like thousands of numbers out there. I click the Game Time Picks tab, and it filters it out, gives me better deals that would better suit me at Wrigley Field. So I have a smaller selection that I know I'd like to choose from. Some other things I like about Game Time they're all in pricing. You toggle that feature. It shows you the total up front, no surprise fees at checkout. It gives you those seat views. So if you've never been to Wrigley Field or you decide to go to a Sox game, you've never been to Guaranteed Rate Field, it gets you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what your view is. Game Time gives you the lowest price guarantee, or they will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time's ticket coverage means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Game Time. Beautiful. Did you see the thing? I didn't see an update from Iowa, but I saw that Brennan Davis was carted off with what looked like an ankle injury. Was there an update after that? What else could possibly go wrong for this guy?
Yeah, I haven't. I know Tommy Birch of the Des Moines Register. Sorry, he tweeted something. He tweeted that out earlier. I hadn't seen an update from him. But yeah, like you said, I think he said carted off with what looks to be an ankle injury, I think is what Tommy said, after sliding awkwardly into second base. Yeah, it sucks for him. This is a guy that we've talked about it since when we launched.
How could it keep getting worse?
And it feels like it's always something different, like it's I mean, obviously there's been some semblance of like some of the same injuries, but like this is something different, or it seems that way. So yeah, it sucks for the guy. You feel for the guy. Like, this is someone that 2 years ago when we launched, this is the Cubs' top prospect. This is the guy that we're like, I'm pretty sure 2022, one of my predictions was we'll see Brennan Davis up before the All-Star game, right? Like that's how we thought of this guy, and not just as like this guy is a building block of the future type thing. It's just this guy was highly thought of 2 years ago, and you wanted to see what he could do at the big league level, and he just hasn't gotten that opportunity. And the injury bug keeps biting him. He's missing a lot of time for development, and yeah, like you absolutely feel for the guy, because you never want to see players go through that, but especially guys that you seem to be very high on, and people seem to be very high on, to not be able to get those opportunities that healthy versions of them probably would have. Yeah, it sucks to see, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is why you can't just count on prospects to, and it's also why you can't just have like 2 good prospects in your organization. It's why you have to build a big farm system. I mean, Brendan Davis was supposed to be can't miss, right? Braylon Marquez was supposed to be can't miss. Cade Horton has been hurt. Ben Brown has been hurt. Like a lot of the guys that we were hoping to see here, we haven't had a chance. Now, we've been fortunate. Cubs fans have been fortunate that Porter Hodge has been healthy and PCA has been healthy and Bush has stayed healthy. So it becomes a numbers game. You have to have those players, and you have to have those players because some of them become moving chips for later moves that still will make this team better. I don't know what those moves are going to be. I don't know who those players are going to be. It's just really tough to see a guy that, by all accounts, is supposed to be not only a great baseball player, but a really good guy, struggle and go through this. And it's not like I know people want to say someone's injury prone. It's not injury prone. It's crazy stuff that's happened to him. Like the one back injury wasn't even a back injury. It was a hereditary thing that he didn't know about. So I don't know. I feel terrible for him because I think we had some high. Oh, look, speaking of feeling terrible for somebody, it looks like Cody is back.
How do I sound? Is this that one time whenever my mic was all messed up?
You're back. You're back.
You're back. Cutting in and out.
We were just talking about Brendan Davis and how bad we feel for him. And I know you feel the same way, but then I also heard the report during the game, Taylor McGregor talking about Justin Steele has played catch 3 straight days, and it's back to back to back. And Counsell says the next thing is to get him a bullpen session and see where it goes. And I thought if you were watching the game at that point, it was telling in my eyes, if you listen to the pause before it gets to Ryan Dempster, and he's like, eventually you're going to run out of time. And then you have to weigh risk versus reward, which if you're listening to me, that's Ryan Dempster saying, why would you bring him back? Why would you risk this guy's arm and bring him back this season? There's a 2% chance. There's a 2% chance. Don't risk Justin Steele.
I think you definitely have to weigh that just depending where you're at when he's eligible, right? Like if somehow you've played your way into like you're right there, I don't know. You're definitely not rushing him.
Like the Mets lost, the Braves won. You didn't gain anything.
Well, you gained game on the Mets. The Mets were ahead of the Braves. I mean, I get what you're saying. But anyway, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I think it will certainly come down to where they're at in the standings when he is ready to come back. I do know Craig Counsell has also said, like, if Justin's healthy, he's going to pitch. The health part is number one priority. If he's not ready to go, whatever it is, I know they backdated a few days. So if he's not ready to go after 12 days after he went on the IL, they're not going to pitch him.
Well, that's easy to say, but how healthy? How healthy? Like if Steele believes he's 80%, and I can get through it. I'm fine. I can't. This is one of those situations where I love Justin Steele, but I can't trust the player to do the right thing if I'm the manager. I got to look out for and Jed Hoyer. I've got to look out for the player.
That's a fair
point. If there's any chance he's hurt, he's not coming back.
Yeah, and I also think that there is certainly part of it, to your point, where a player may want, like, a goal is to finish the season healthy, right? Like Justin Steele 2 years ago missed all of September, I think. I forgot what the injury was, but I don't think he pitched at all in September 2022. He didn't pitch. They shut him down, and he missed the whole last month.
He had a sore elbow, which I was freaking out about then.
But so like he didn't finish the season healthy. He didn't finish the season pitching. I know that hurt him to not be able to do that. Last season was a lot better of a year of health. And even then, like I felt like you still kind of saw a little slowing down at the finish line at the end of the season. I mean, I see both sides. I see exactly what you're saying. Is like this guy might want to just try to push it, especially if they're in the race. I also see it as like I don't know. I same thing I said with like Porter Hodge earlier. Like I would hope that Craig Counsell and the training staff and whoever it is do have Justin Steele's best interest in mind, right? Like I would hope that they sense that, or are keeping his health and what's best for Justin Steele in mind when they are making that kind of decision, right? I mean, like, it's not exactly the same thing, but Shota Imanaga's no-hitter last week. Like, they could have left him in and at least gave him another inning or tried to finish the whole thing. Craig Counsell made the very unpopular decision to take him out and said this is for what 100% about what's best for Shota.
Yeah.
I would think they'd keep that same mentality when it comes time to make a decision on Justin when he's eligible to come off the IL.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago they were way out of the race. They won 74 games that year. Remember when we celebrated winning 63? All right. This year, as much as I think they're out of it, like they haven't acted like they're out of it. If they acted like they were out of it, they would have promoted Owen Casey. All right. They would promote Matt Shaw, whoever, like a pitcher that I'm not thinking of. They would have done it. So like the way they've been acting, whether I like it or not, is they're acting like they're still in the race. So whenever that time comes for Justin Steele to come off the injured list, when those days are up, wherever they are in the race, I mean, it's like you said, risk versus reward, or Ryan Dempster said it. Like, I'm with Luke. I wouldn't even think about risking it, but I understand why Justin Steele would want to, considering, 2 years ago, wasn't able to pitch in September. Last year, went on the injured list once. And I'm sure he doesn't want to get the reputation of being injury prone. I get that. But every pitcher's injury prone at this point. If you look at across the league, I think what sucks about Steele this year is the fact that he was hurt for the first month. Then he was healthy from large majority of the season. And, this whole elbow thing came up at the worst possible time. So, yeah, it sucks, but I personally don't see Steele coming back. I think Jed and Craig are smart enough to not risk this if they're, even if it's 4 games. If it's 4 games by that time, there's not going to be any chance. So I don't know. That's just, to me, again, I wouldn't risk it. There would have to be some crazy shit to happen. Real crazy stuff to happen.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Hey, Michael in the live YouTube chat says Steele needs some more innings to keep the workload decent. Otherwise, there might be an innings cap next year. If healthy, he should pitch. I was going to propose that question, and I know it's an uncomfortable question because we all like Steele, and he's one of my favorite players to watch in the team. I'm happy that he's a homegrown guy. All of those things. I want him to stay a Cub. Does it concern you that the elbow has been a little bit of a problem now 2 years in a row as he gets towards, like last year, I believe was the most innings he'd ever pitched, right? Now he's getting there. He's getting up in innings again, even though he missed a month into the season. If this was a playoff team next year, would you be concerned that one of your best pitchers, Steele, has gone through this 2 years in a row where he hasn't had the full workload, right? Like,
yeah.
Does his arm concern you if this is a playoff team?
Well, I mean, last year he did basically have a full workload. He missed the 15-day minimum with the thing in June.
It was the elbow again. It was like the elbow, and we were all talking about like, oh man, this is the most he's ever thrown. Like, is that something?
Last year was the forearm.
Is it something we should be worried about yet or not?
I mean, I think it's something you're concerned with anyone that has had Tommy John surgery in the past, right? Has had elbow issues. Like I don't
want to say it, but yeah,
I don't think you go into next year I forgot whose comment that was, but
it was Michael.
Go into next year with thinking about innings limits with Justin Steele. I think you're looking at a this is his 4th season in the big leagues now. I know 2021 wasn't the entire season, but 4th year in the big leagues. He's been starting for a long time now. He does have 2023 of besides a 15-day minimum stint, he did pitch the whole season. This year, obviously, the hamstring cost him a month. We'll see if he can come back from it. I don't think I guess I wouldn't be any more concerned than I would be with anyone with that kind of injury history, right? I think that's always a concern when someone has had elbow injuries and elbow issues in the past. But I don't think you go into next year looking at a innings limit for Justin Steele or some kind of limits on a guy he's 28, 29. At this point, I think he's earned the confidence to go out there and pitch and try to go a full season. If injuries are part of the game, if stuff happens, like it's hard to walk to walk a guy all the way through a season, right? And make sure he stays healthy the whole year. It's hard to do that with anyone. So I don't think you can go into the season. Maybe you give him a couple extra days early in the year or later in the year, like kind of what Craig's done with the rotation a lot this year.
If Horton's healthy and some of those guys are healthy, it's a different story.
You can figure out ways to give him an extra day or two of rest. Maybe you skip a start whenever you like there are ways to figure that out. And I think that's something that Craig Counsell showed he's pretty good at doing this year and managing the pitching staff. I guess for me personally, I don't think that to me doesn't all of a sudden jump into like we need to limit his innings. We need to really like worry about him. Like I think this guy's earned the opportunity to go out there and try to pitch a full season without many restrictions outside of finding some extra rest, maybe not pushing him too hard in April, whatever that is.
Yeah, for me it's
Cody?
Yeah. So for me it's like after he hit the injured list, I said that the Cubs need to get a starting pitcher in the offseason because you can't rely on Cade Horton, Ben Brown, and even Jordan Wicks to provide you 30 starts next season. There's no way that one of those three is going to make 30 starts for you next year. And it would be absolutely stupid if this front office actually went into next year and relied on one of them to actually do that. Justin Steele is one guy who's been able to do that for you, or at least come close to it. Then you have Shota, who's been healthy, thank God, knocking on all the wood, right? Jamison Tyone has been an innings eater for you, but he will be another year older next year. And then we have all the guys that I just mentioned. I doubt Kyle Hendricks is back next year. If he takes like a 1 year, $2 million or something, I don't know. Like the Cubs have all these young pitchers that they want to start incorporating. He would take up a roster spot that doesn't make sense to me at this point, as much as I would love to see him back next year based off nostalgia and the fact that I love the guy and will defend him as much as I possibly can. But we are at a point where it's like it doesn't make a lot of sense to, right? So to me, it's like we've sat here and talked a ton about Juan Soto, and I agree we need to fix this offense somehow, some way. But you can also argue on why this team needs to go get a top of the rotation type starting pitcher, because as great as Shota has been, I still don't think he's an ace, and I think Steele is like borderline ace material, but like they're not a Corbin Burns. They're not a Max Fried when healthy. I personally think that they need to get a guy like that. One of those top three that are on the free agent market this offseason, or if there's a trade, you can use your prospect capital to trade for a guy who's young and under control. I don't know who that guy is. I'm just saying that they need to add a starting pitcher this offseason, and preferably would be a top of the rotation type guy to go with Shota and Justin. And then you can use Horton and Brown and Wicks and whatever they give you. If they stay healthy next year, they're added bonuses to your team who can potentially be extremes that shoot your team up in the win total in a positive direction. You know what I mean by that? Obviously, there's a lot of other issues on his team, but just from a starting pitching standpoint, like you just can't go into next year relying on Horton, Brown, and Wicks for one of them to give you 30 starts. There's just no way.
I think they proved that this year that they showed that, right? That this year was an example of, Ben Brown hasn't pitched in 2 months, maybe more than that. Like Jordan Wicks missed so much time this year. Cade Horton never made his debut. Like I think that's a sign, like a very good example that you can't rely on. Yeah. I mean, you can't just rely on really anyone, right? Like Shota Imanaga, knock on wood, going through the whole season thus far and making every start, or at least I think he's the only guy that's been on the active roster all season, at least pitching wise, been on the active roster all season. Yeah. Knock on wood that
He's
continues, but,
skipped some starts. That's it, just because of
Where's Adrian
coming from
Sampson through all this?
Cubs legend.
Cubs legend.
The point is though, is that they need to get a starting pitcher. That way if Steele goes down again next year because of whatever, like you're not left with, your hands up and you're relying on young guys who haven't proved anything, man. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate with how the pitching development, while it was awesome this year, it's also been kind of a disappointment too. And it's in the disappointment side of it is just the fact that you haven't got any answers about those three guys. Maybe Brown is the biggest one, but he just, we don't know if he can be healthy, and Wicks, 2 injuries this year, and Horton now he's had Tommy John himself, and he's been hurt multiple times coming up through the Cubs system. So, and as much as I don't want to believe that it's something that's going to be a massive problem down the road, you have to acknowledge that Justin Steele, who also has had Tommy John, has been on the injured list every season the last 3 years, and it'll be twice this year. Like, it just seems like they need to get another starting pitcher to add to that rotation depth, and we'll see what happens. And hopefully it's a lot more of a healthy roster next year.
You can never have enough pitching is what
that's
what Jed says. But that's basically what every GM, president of baseball operations, says. You can never have enough pitching. We've really seen that this year. We've really seen that how much the pitching gets tested I can't get tested in a major league season this year. It's been a lot.
Especially when guys are throwing high 90s, it's just more and more likely the way the game is going right now. Real quick before we go, Steven with another super chat says, so who do you think is at odds with each other in the front office? According to reports, I begrudgingly accepted that Hoyer is back in 2025. Steven, I don't have any inside information on that. All I know is Stuckmeyer's not mad at Delmendo. Delmendo's not mad at Herrera. Herrera's not mad at Delmendo and Stuckmeyer. So right now, no infighting here, and you can call us whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Well, Bob wrote in his notebook on Sunday that Jed's going to return, so it's not even like a speculation anymore. It's at least according to Bob.
I mean, it's not really a surprise, regardless.
No, right? Yeah, it's not.
I'd be more surprised if he wasn't.
I will say what I was surprised about, and we can talk more about this maybe on our off day show this week, but the 4 scouts that they are firing or whatever, that's something that we can talk about.
Sounds like, right?
Yeah. So that's something as someone who has yelled and screamed and yelled at some more at the clouds about Jed Hoyer this year, it's not a good look with the firing of those 4 scouts, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, I don't. This whole Jed thing, it's not a surprise, unfortunately.
All right, thanks to everybody who stayed up late to take part in the live YouTube chat. We appreciate all of you. A lot of regulars there. We like to see you as always. Cubs win 6-3. Pete Crow-Armstrong, the amazing catch to help seal the game at the end. Hoping good news for Porter Hodge after the game, and we will be back tomorrow, or as we sometimes call it, Thursday, depending on when the game is over. Game 3 of the series. Cubs go for the sweep, believe it or not, over the Dodgers, and we will be here for roughly an hour after that game as well. Until then, thanks for watching, and fly the W.